If you've ever wondered if it's possible to be a Christian in the fashion industry, if you can actually create clothing or wear clothing that respects and represents your faith without making you feel like you're out of place, out of touch, or out of style, then this episode is for you. We're talking with my incredible friend, Micah Lee, who's a fashion designer and entrepreneur who has really dedicated his life to being able to share his faith through the fashion that he designs. But we're not going to just stick with that. We're also going to go into the entrepreneurial journey, how to balance two careers at once when you're trying to build a career while you're also holding on to a traditional career, how to blend all the things that are going on in your life so that you can express yourself fully as a creative who loves God but wants to represent him fully in the mainstream arts and entertainment, and yes, even the fashion industry. You're going to love this interview, so I want to get right to it. Here's our talk with my friend, designer and entrepreneur, Micah Lee. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I have a great friend here who's not just a friend, he is a connoisseur of fashion. He is a man that's going to help us figure out, he liked that. I like, see you pull on that word like, hey.
I got that. Yeah, that was nice.
We went to college, man. We got some vocabulary to go here. Anyway, see, we're already going goofy. So, Micah Lee, welcome to the God and Gig Show. How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing great. I'm really excited. I'm turned for this. This is great.
So this is going to be very, as you can see, this has the potential of going off the rails at any moment and may stay off the rails, but it's a good thing because we have a great relationship outside of the creative world. You are family, as far as you and your wife are family to me and my wife, and all of us connected already outside of this space. So this is going to be fun bringing what we already have into this space where honestly, you and I live just as fully, right? We're just as much in this other space where we enjoy family, we enjoy friends, but then the business and the creator side has been something we've talked about a lot offline. So I'm really excited to bring this conversation in so people can see what you do and why you do it and how we navigate. So first question always is the tricky one, the 30-second elevator pitch, right? The tell everything about your life in 30 seconds or less. The way I pitch it is like this. If someone's meeting you for the first time and, you get that handshake in the lobby, you get the handshake at church, you get the handshake at the networking event, and they're only going to remember a couple of things anyway. So all I want to hear is just like the 2 or 3 things that when people meet you for the first time, you're like, hey, if you don't read all the bio, follow my Instagram or any, here's a couple of things that you definitely want to know about me, just the man, the person. So just share a little bit about that. And then we'll dig into all the other things, man, so they can learn what a great guy you are.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, my given name is Michael Andrus, but my designer name is Micah Lee. I'm a tailor and fashion designer, and have several brands under my name. Primary goal is to utilize my sense of faith and what God has given me in order to push fashion that will allow the promotion of the gospel of Jesus Christ that's size inclusive and can allow people of faith of all sizes to feel really great about themselves and not limited by what may or may not be in the store for them.
Wow. Okay. So you caught my ear with a couple of things. Some things I
Okay.
already knew about your brand. But then a couple of things that we have been friends forever and I've never heard you say, or maybe you left it out. Maybe we hadn't talked about that part. So we're going to have to dig into this a little more. Okay.
Okay.
So I'll tell you what they are just so you know they're coming. Okay. When you mentioned size inclusive, didn't catch that before. So I'm going to put a pin in that one.
Okay.
But then let's go back to the promotion of the gospel through a brand, through fashion. And I know, brother, you have blessed my family because you were literally the man that helped outfit my son for his wedding in these the sharp tux that he was wearing for. So
Custom tux, yeah.
I've seen your work. Okay. So I know what you can do as a tailor. So I know so much about your story. You're going to have to pretend like I've never heard it before because a lot of these folks have never heard it before. Tell me how you get into fashion from your background, which I know is very, 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 you have an incredible background in a lot of stuff. So you're going to have to try to squeeze it in. How do you get to fashion as the man you are, having done a lot of other things in your life?
So, and this will kind of help a little bit with the size inclusivity.
Okay, okay, cool, cool, cool.
My sister and my sister and I, who you know because you poached her to your ministry.
Wait, wait. No, no, you can't do that without context,
Yeah,
bro.
no, no,
That was foul.
I
That
have
was
to go
not
through that.
cool. I'm calling you out. All right,
It was
keep
a
going.
long 2 year poaching, and I didn't see it coming. But
Keep going, man.
without it,
Yeah,
I
so
wouldn't have
this is
met you.
why I was
So I'll take
worried.
it.
This is why I was worried. Okay, keep going. All
But
right.
without it, I wouldn't have met you. So I'll go on ahead
That's
and take
true.
it. We have always been artists, always been in art. We've, sung, done, everything, acted together. She leaned more heavily into drama and writing, and I leaned more heavily into music. And then all of a sudden, I turned 17, and all of a sudden, dressing kind of became important to me. And it was for sheer arrogant reasons because I am a glorious 5 foot 5.5. Um, and then I got promoted to 5 foot 6. And I was trying to stand out, and I realized one of the ways that I could stand out was just by dressing different and dressing well. So that kind of started in high school, and right out of high school, I end up joining the U.S. Marine Corps. Shout out U.S. Marine Corps, turning 250 this year. And they gave me an opportunity. They said, "You're going to East Coast, West Coast, or overseas?" And I said, "You know what? I have never done it. Let's go halfway around the world and see what happens." So my first duty station, I ended up getting stationed in Japan, and it was an incredible experience. Culture shock, of course, but the biggest thing was I wanted to, didn't have much in the way of clothing. Just started getting paychecks, so I wanted to get clothes, and
Okay.
I go out in town because what was on the base was it. It was really rough. What was on base in the PX, it was terrible. Actually, I mean, you've seen me dress, so you know. I mean, if you've been on a base before and you've seen the PX, there is no fashion. It's basic. You get a shirt, you get a tie, stuff you would get for Father's Day. It's all there all the time. So, so I go out in town and I'm starting to see some stuff, and it's vibing with me, and I can't fit it.
Ah, okay.
Can't
Okay.
fit it. My only issue was I didn't know that. I knew my size, and I just didn't try anything on. I just assumed, my size was my size, not realizing my size in a large and a Japanese large are completely two different things.
I was about to say the culture shock you just mentioned, and I'm thinking, brother, like again, not to go. Well, I guess we have to go deep because we got to talk about like culture and size and expectation, and just thinking about Japan. Like, I don't think anybody's expecting to see you coming into a store, to be able to be seen as a person, and then number two, have the actual fashion and the sizes available for you. Like, there's just an expectation that that's not going to be necessary. So you have to you're dealing with that on top of the culture.
I actually ended up going into town into a place where the Americans don't usually shop. They usually have a street for us, and over there, you either dress like a cowboy or a hip hop artist or a basketball player of some kind. Those were the two styles they had for us over there.
Wow.
So yeah, but they expected you to just go down this one street, and down that one street they kind of had your sizes. I was looking for something, a bit more eclectic, avant-garde, as one might say. Uh, and so I go into one of their suit stores, and I'm looking at menswear. And so, I just found this new church in Okinawa, so I was, you know, excited. I buy the stuff, and I get up the next morning to go to church. I go put the stuff on, and if you've ever had that feeling of you're putting stuff on and you're like, oh no, this is not going to work. I put the shirt on, and all of a sudden, it's crimping all over my shoulders and everything. And long story short, I went to church that day with an extremely tight suit on before tight suits were in
Oh no.
vogue. Yeah.
No.
I mean, buttons, about to explode. They were going to put somebody's eye out. I'm going to get charged for lethal assault with a deadly shirt. Um, and so it was at that moment I'm like, oh my gosh, when I'm over here in this place, I have to change. I have to be different. No longer large over here. Over here in this climate, in this culture, I'm an extra large. And, you adapt. You adapt and you do things differently, because I wanted fashion. And so I had to adapt to what fashion would allow me to do over there. Um, and I just got frustrated. So there was things I could buy, but there's a bus system that we had in Okinawa. And I'd get on the bus, and in my frustration, I just started drawing.
Mm,
And I've never been, that guy, but I just start drawing things I wanted to wear. And then drawing things, and I'm just like, well, I wonder if I could do this. I wonder if I could do that. And so it just turned into, I drew a couple of things. One of the ladies in church noticed that I drew something, and she said, "Hey, um, our dance ministry is doing something for Christmas. Would you mind designing us dance uniforms?" And I said, I've never done it before. I'm drawing suits and streetwear and everything else. I said, I've never designed anything. I'm just sketching. That's all I'm doing. She goes, well, Mike, I really like you to even try it. So we go through this whole thing. I draw sketches. I think I did about three different designs for I first got to figure out what appropriate church dance attire looks like.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, important, quite important.
Very important. It can go awry very quickly
Oh
if we
yes,
let it.
I've been in many a musical where we were like, okay,
Yes, it's a bit risque for the halls of faith.
exactly.
And the other part about that was the ministry that I was in was really big on ministering and evangelizing to the Japanese.
Ah,
So then it had to be something that was also culturally appropriate. And so it had to be church appropriate, culturally appropriate, not look like we're trying too hard. And then I had to fit five different ladies of, different sizes.
yep.
And so it was my first experience. I drew everything out. They pick one, and then we go into the rush. We go into town with a lady who speaks zero English, and we buy fabric. And I say, well, I need this, I need this, I need this, I need this. This goes here, this goes here, this is here, this is here. Church buys the fabric, buys as many yards as we need, and then she takes me out in town again to a lady who speaks no English, and it's a seamstress, and she's one of these ancient people that looks at something and can just make it.
Wow.
And it blew me away that we didn't speak the same language. And don't get me wrong, she speaks some English.
Hmm.
You've been there long enough, and you near an American base, you're gonna catch something. But the fact that our languages were so far apart, but what we understood as artist was here, and she completely understood what I wanted to do, and completely understood how I was trying to, mimic, or what's the word I'm looking for? I was trying to salute Japanese culture in the
Yeah, to
design.
give honor. It seems
Yes,
like
exactly.
honor.
So she
Yeah,
saw a little bit of a kimono thing that I was trying to do, and something with the flare pants that was from judo. So she saw all of that, and she starts saying, "You have more than enough fabric here. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this and do this." She's drawing on things. And so about 2 weeks later, and then the funny part happened. But 2 weeks later, of going back and forth, she starts peeling these things out, and all of a sudden, I realized this thing that I drew on paper was real.
yeah.
It wasn't in my head anymore. It wasn't, on this paper anymore. It was real. It had manifested, and it was going to go on somebody now. And they were going to wear it, and they were going to look great. They were going to look incredible. This thing I come up with, and, everybody's just, you know, like, Mike, this looks great. This looks great. And then the funny thing happened, because I was going to the dance rehearsals and taking measurements and everything else like that. So I happened to be hooking and jiving, and the lady looks at me and she goes, Mike, you know the dance? I say, yeah, well, I've been hanging out with you guys for the last couple of weeks and stuff like that. I know it. She goes, great. We have just enough fabric for you to have a uniform too.
Please say you have pictures. Please say you have pictures. Mike, you
If
gotta
I,
have pictures. You hid
if
them, didn't you?
my friend, there's video, and
Oh,
when
whoa, whoa. Okay. All right. So wait, I'm gonna stop you here.
There's a
So
video, and I have done everything I possibly can to ensure it never
it never
sees
sees a light.
the light of
Well,
day.
you're in the membership. So in Ghana Gigs 360 next week, exclusive, we will have, and
Mike
that
in
will
his
get
dance
people in the
uniform.
door.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
Oh my
So,
God. Okay, dude. All right. So much you have to just share that I have to like pick up on. Okay.
mhm,
One was the line that you just said about how fashion, art in general, but in this case, fashion was the universal language. We say music is the universal language all the time, right? But the fact that you were able to connect with another artist in a whole nother culture and just know what each other were trying to do and say is incredible. So that's a number one nugget of the cultural connection of fashion, clothes, wearing things, how it actually says so much about you and what you wanted and what you were thinking without someone
mhm,
knowing your language necessarily. The second one I want to kind of really pin on is what you said about seeing something real. When you realize what you were wearing or what you were designed was going to be worn and it becomes part of their identity, part of their presentation. That's something I don't think, and I'm talking about all creators, right? I can't think of another niche or discipline where that becomes like I can write a song and someone else sings the song, right? Make it theirs. I could see someone maybe put a painting up in their room, makes it theirs. Now to my room, I'm making a statement. None of those are actually walking in wearing the thing, like putting it on your body. And now it's not just in my house. I'm not just singing it. It's literally me. Like the second you see me, you see the fashion. So talk to me a little bit about that, man, because based on your brand, and you see where we're going with this, right? We're going a little
mhm.
deep. What is it that you feel so passionate about saying when someone puts on your clothes? Because that to me, I've never realized, honestly, until you said it, how deep a connection that is when someone says, I want to say what he's saying. And not only that, I want to represent what he by putting it on. Like that's just a deeper level that I didn't even think about.
I didn't think about it either.
No, there we go. Perfect. Good.
Thank you
Good.
for that. No, this is great. I was like, Mike, you're deep now. I was like, I got it, cool.
Oh, no, you're deep, but no, but this is a different deep that we haven't talked about.
So the first thing about it is just for any artist out there, um, do it and do something. Um, that moment when you see what was in your mind's eye come to life, there's there's nothing else like it. And I know it's probably a little easier for musicians, especially skilled musicians like yourself. You think of something and then you can immediately go to the keyboard or whatever instrument. You can kind of plot it out and put it together and everything, and that's part of it. But you couldn't do that at first. And
Yes.
so the big thing is for any artist of any kind, you want to write that novel, write something first. Write something first and see how people respond to it. If you want to be a painter of any kind, you know start with one. Just do something so that what's in your head comes out and make your art real. that's
Yeah.
that's really the first thing. With my brands, I have several brands. We're going to talk about one in particular. But the brand is Emperiol. Um, I actually wrote down the vision for Imperial about 3 months after the dance costume thing, because
Ah,
one of the ladies looked at me and she goes, Mike, you could really do this. And I'm like, what? No, I can't really do this. But the hunger and the passion grew. So I started writing it down, and it became about what was getting offered to us in general, just on the street. There were things like, Sean John or Rockaware, and because of who they were attached to, they came with a message.
mm,
And it's no knock on them. Whatever you want to buy is what you want to buy. If it looks good on you, it looks good on you. But what I couldn't bring myself to was, I hear them, I hear the message. Am I really going to give money to have that message amplified?
okay.
So it wasn't really about judging. It was like, okay, well, what? what do I want to say? Well, is there something out there where it gives me the, same look, well, or maybe or a better look, high quality. I'm not going to be embarrassed, wearing it. It's not cheesy. Uh, what is there out there like that that's going to say what I want to say, which is to just be completely unashamed and unabashed about the gospel of Jesus Christ. It's like, okay, do I see anything? And this is, I'm going to date myself, but this is 2004,
No,
you
like
know.
please, because people need to know like these visions aren't like fly by night. Think of it tomorrow. All of a sudden you got a company, or all of a sudden you got a brand or a clothing line. Like they
Mhm.
need to know that this is like a vision that takes time to grow.
So I wrote down everything, and it was, even the initial vision, I've evolved from that since then. The original Imperial was Imperial Clothing Company, and it was about having a uniform that, and again, I'm in the Marine Corps, so everything's military at that point.
Yeah.
So it's about having this uniform that helps you identify with a kingdom that's consistently on the move, and a kingdom that's consistently growing and on the move is an empire by own terms and purposes. So I had no problem doing that, making it, in the Imperial Clothing Company. And so what kind of came from that was still more and more drawing, more and more drawing. And I really didn't get a chance to do anything with it until about 3 years later. So I end up getting stationed in Jacksonville at that point in time, and I still got this dream going. And I don't remember how I met this young lady, but she was an aspiring model, and
Okay.
she wanted, faith-based clothing. And again, my second opportunity comes up. She has a photographer friend. We getting really good with each other. He says, "Hey, I noticed young lady, she sews." I said, "Okay, cool." This young lady, she had a gig down in my hometown of Miami, and it was the Bijou hair show.
Okay. This sounds familiar. I don't know why I know this. I shouldn't. Well, then again, I've been
Mhm.
around a lot of sisters I've been
It
around. So
it was my introduction to B 5240 wet and wavy with silky extensions, and
you said that way too well.
I know, I was studying. And I saw a whole bunch of hair, uh, but she saw what I did. She said, "Michael, do you do women's wear?" I'm like, "No." Uh, she said, "Michael, design me a dress." I said, "What? No, that's not what I do." And then 2 weeks later, I had a dress. And so I ended up going in with this young lady. That was an experience in and of itself. It was not without its challenges. The young lady was real gun ho, and I paid her up front. That was a mistake. She turned flaky, and I couldn't find her for 3 weeks.
Oh.
Uh, that's with my fabric and everything else that I purchased. But fortunately for me, the week before she turned up, and she's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, I got it together." The dress wasn't completely together, it was still cut up. She still needed to sew it, then we needed to fit it. And then the model that I made the dress for ended up leaving and going to Miami early, which means I didn't get to take pictures of it, and she didn't get to try it on final.
Wait. Okay. So I gotta stop you for a second because these are the stories that they don't tell when they say, "Oh, start your brand, do the thing," and then they're like, "Oh, there are also going to be days where you get people who don't pay you or run off of your fabric
Hmm.
or run or don't." So I gotta stop you for a second because I think what's so important is to kind of tie the line between, okay, here are the things that can go wrong. Here's the things you didn't even know you needed, right? We saw that part. So I want to take you quickly to, at what point do you say, all right, despite all the struggles, despite all the issues, despite the fact that maybe, and I'm going to lean into this a little bit, you
Hmm.
realize this will not be your full time, right? You realize that this is a passion, but it's not necessarily going to pay the bills yet, right? So I
Hmm.
really want to lean into that. So tell me, not that you need to cut off the story, but I really am curious about when those things happen, what gives you like the vision to keep going, even if it's not going to be the thing? right? You realize you're going to take a lot longer to build it, but you do know it's worth it. So what makes it worth it for you to keep building?
20 seconds. It takes 20 seconds, anywhere from 20 to 30 seconds, for a model to walk from backstage to the front of the runway, turn around, and go back. And 20 seconds immediately erased every bit of hardship and trouble that I went through.
Okay.
So again, she doesn't get to do any of the stuff that you usually tend to want to do when you make a piece. So I drive down to Miami, and I'm with my mom. So she comes to the house uh, with her husband, and so we need to fit the dress. And so I measured the young lady. We did her primary fitting, weeks ago. It was no problem. Get there, the dress doesn't fit. Get that her dress doesn't fit, and everything's going everything's going haywire. I spend the next 3 days not sleeping and trying to pull things and get it together. There were so many things that were messed up that we had to manufacture and put behind the scenes. And people don't know this about fashion shows. That stuff looks great when it's coming down the runway. There's all types of Frankenstein stuff happening on the inside
Lord
of the
Jesus.
I mean, it's a mess. It is. There are pins and people are bleeding and there's stabs and everything because what you need is that 20 seconds. You need that
Mm.
20 seconds for somebody to fall in love and say, oh my gosh, I'm going to spend $1,200 and buy that. It's a mess on the inside, but it doesn't matter because I made the outside look great. So there is everything from tape to sewing. I don't know how to sew, by the way.
I was about to go there for a little bit when you talked about the seamstress and stuff like that. Like that
Mhm.
was something that, like, okay, so
all,
now
all
you
I
have to trust. You have to trust somebody with a
with their
skill that
vision.
you're not able to like replicate.
Exactly.
Okay.
And you couldn't necessarily fix. So right now I'm doing everything that fashion designers do. I have to get up close and personal with this lady because now I'm trying to move things and shift things so it just falls on her correctly. So we're doing all kinds of jerry rigging and everything. We got some ladies in the back helping. I'm sweating bullets, and all of a sudden the show starts going. And then I'm like, okay, this isn't a fashion show. What's really going on here? Everybody's, walking around like model to know it's a fashion show. And my girl is the only one that walks out in a custom made dress. And she comes down and it's 20 seconds and she has this whole thing. She has this glitter in her hand that matches the color of the dress that I made. And she has this hood. I made a dress with a hood. And she blows it out. Crowd goes flipping wild. And I said it was just torment for the last 2.5 weeks. All of it went away in 20
Wow.
seconds.
Wow.
And I was like, yeah, I can deal with this psychoticness. I can deal with this craziness. For this 20 seconds, this right here, yeah, I can do this. And it was just it then became about trying to figure out what I wanted to do. Was I going to do menswear? Was I going to do women's wear? Was I going to do suits? Was I going to do dresses? Was I going to do all of it? No, you got to pick something. You got to pick something. You got to pick a medium. And so there was another 3.5, 5 years that went by for me trying to figure out what exactly I was going to do.
Yeah.
And so that was 2007. I go through a whole bunch of things. I go through this music phase. I think I'm going to be the next Nat King Cole. I have a savory voice. I have a savory voice. So I'm going to college and I'm putting this band together and I'm doing everything except this. And it's not until 2017 that I start going to fashion design school.
Oh, okay.
Prior to that, the photographer, he hits me back up and he says, Mike, are you still designing? I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm done with that. My fashion design days are over. Uh and so he goes, Mike, listen, I have an artist, he's a jazz artist. He says, he can afford it. He says, we go to all of these places, they're expensive, and he always ends up going to these red carpet runway places, and he ends up wearing something that somebody else has on. He says, I don't want that for him anymore. He says, I need you to do something. I said, I don't know, bro. I've put my pen and my paper down, bro. I don't want to. I've been hurt. Nothing. Long story short, 2 weeks later, I designed my first blazer. Haven't
Okay.
touched a suit blazer in a while, and I get in touch through my pastor down in Miami. Get in touch with this man who is a master tailor from Jamaica, Gasket Loxley, and I bring this over to him, and I've sketched everything out, and I made this dinner jacket essentially. And dinner jacket is in tuxedo range, so it's essentially this crazy, smoking jacket or whatever. You rock a black tuxedo pants with it. But I draw it. He looks at it again, and I'm having this moment again now, like I had with the lady in Japan. He looks at it, and he's a master tailor, and he says, "Okay, buy the fabric. It'll be $300, and I'll make it for you." So he tells me what exactly I need to buy, what exactly I need to do, and so he starts making it. Um, we have the fitting, and he comes down for the first fitting. He brings his girlfriend. Um, you know where this goes to. His girlfriend now needs a dress. Uh, so
Oh
I start
man.
working. Yeah, it that and again it turns into a whole entire mess. There's chaos and everything abundant. The dress doesn't fit again. Uh, she has to get it expanded, and then I mean, she didn't tell us that she was eating muffins on the side, so
Oh
I
Jesus.
mean, she
Okay.
yeah, so it grows. It goes from there, and so it's just absolutely hectic. And then I get my 20 seconds again.
Hmm.
Not only so he was on the lower tier of the Latin Grammys. He's a jazz artist. Lower tier of the Latin Grammys. So 2016, we put that jacket on him. He's taking pictures, doing everything else. And then the Houston Chronicle names him best dressed at the Latin Grammys in 2016.
Beautiful. Wow. Dude.
So I have a best dressed client under my belt, which was crazy because I hadn't gone to school. And 2 weeks after that, I asked Mr. Loxley, I said, teach me how to sew. He said, no, get out. Um, I said, wait, what? Seriously? He says, no, get out. And so for 6 weeks after that, I pester him and I won't let it go. I said, I'll become your apprentice. I promise I won't talk a whole bunch. I just want to learn what you know. I just want to have your knowledge in your brain. Just no, 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 no. At that time, I have, hair now, but my hair was significantly longer. So it went down my back. So I had dreadlocks, and for an older Jamaican man, that meant that I was a hoodlum, and I smoked weed. So he didn't want me anywhere near.
Yeah.
But eventually I wore him down, and I apprenticed for him for 5 years. And I simultaneously went to fashion design school. Um, and we just did a whole bunch of things together. And I had dreams and visions of what we were going to be able to do. And unfortunately, I lost him in 2020. Um, Lost him to cancer, unfortunately. Um, so that kind of cut some things, down. But then, I'm still going to fashion design school, still going to college. And I finally figure it now. It's amazing what you said. You write down this vision in 2004, not
Yeah.
sure how it's going to get accomplished. And really, up until this point, I'm designing, I've designed suits and two dresses, and now I'm doing menswear. So I'm making ties. I'm doing work on custom jackets, doing all of this stuff, and still haven't fulfilled this. And then all of a sudden, it just the advent of streetwear comes. And so the thing that was crazy about streetwear is this medium that allows you to push this message. Because really think about it. How are you going to push any kind of message on a suit?
Well, yeah, I was going to say part of what I was thinking, even when you said the Houston thing and the jazz artists, the church, like all of these are cultural things that already exist that you were fitting the person in.
Mhm.
And like I said, I'm not a fashion guy at all, but I realize even especially
We're
being
going
on
to work on
stage.
that.
Well, okay, that's a whole nother conversation. for another day for a
We're gonna work on
workshop
that.
that will be
It's gonna be
behind a
deep.
paywall. That'll be behind a paywall where
Go.
Micah gets Alan like, yeah, we're not doing that for everybody. So
Whole video session.
exactly, a whole video session, right? But here's the thing, and the reason I go here is because kind of what I'm saying. People like me who say, "Oh well, I don't need to worry about the message because I have a certain place where I fit in, right? And I fit in this particular box that I can just stick with."
Hmm.
Versus I need to express something that is about me. And like I think what you're going with the streetwear thing is now there's a lot more freedom and there's a discussion to be had, right? There's a discussion
100%.
that your clothes say something that you need the individuality. Not to say that nothing fashion is always about individuality, but this especially here, I think it always comes back down to message that you're sending with your clothes and with what you're sharing. So I know your background in faith, right? I know that you
Mhm.
had this, but I want to make sure that we fill in the gaps for somebody that might not understand. Because you said the gospel from the very get go, right? You said
Yeah.
to preach the gospel. Now, I know you have a background in ministry. I know that you, but now you're talking about fashion. I don't know how the message of faith is treated in the fashion industry. Were you like musicians? Were you ostracized when you showed up with like, is there any kind of backlash between you going into this area? Again, these are the kind of things like I really wanted to ask you for a long time, but I just didn't know how to ask it. But this is my chance to see, like, did you have to deal with that? Cause when you were starting to like express your faith in fashion.
Okay, so I need to be, and you know me already. I despise using this word because it's a word that everyone uses to just essentially word vomit everything that some things you need to keep to yourself. But I feel like I do need to be open with this. Um, I had my moment of shame, um, because not only, am I, dividing my faith, I'm also straight, which you think those two should, just boom. And so both of those things caused issues. Now there were people who liked me. There were people who still work with me. Um, Designers who still they know what I stand for.
Yep.
Even if their lifestyle doesn't line up with that, they know what I stand for, and I love them. They love me. I can call them, but there was a significant amount of backlash. I've been kicked out of fashion shows. Um, Shamefully one time because I needed the internship. I needed the work and the experience in the fashion industry. There have been a few times where I did pretend to be more effeminate than I was in order to not be threatening. I did pretend to be something that I wasn't in order just for me to stay. Somebody tells you it, it is tough. I'd be lying if I said it wasn't tough, but you're at a photo shoot for Perry Ellis and somebody says, "What's he doing here?" And I'm ashamed of it because, Jesus is really clear. If you're ashamed of me in front of men, I'll be ashamed of you before my Father. And I wanted the opportunity more and what it was going to give me than I wanted to be who Jesus made me. So I had a few times where I pretended to be something else in order for me to stay, in order for me to fit in order for me to get to the right people, and then all of that to happen and get to these people, and this won't let me be near them. So
Mm,
I did all of that just to finally commit to this and commit to
yep.
ministry and commit to all that. And then you can't be around those people anymore because, light can't fellowship with darkness.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's really really difficult because you know Perry Ellis, what's the Cuba Vera, were two brands. You get certain opportunities, and you need to be a certain way to get those opportunities. And I know it's like that for a lot of different industries. I know it's like that for music,
Yeah, yeah. I was
even
going to say,
Christian
like,
music
there's very
industry.
your story is not uncommon unfortunately, what I think is uncommon about it, again, this is an industry that I'm not as familiar with, but the assumption that you have a certain viewpoint on the world based on who you're working with is literally something that we're dealing with all the time as Christian Christian artists who are called to a marketplace that is not Christian, right? You know, in the world, not other world. This is literally why this platform exists, is how to navigate that, right? How to navigate being authentic, being who you are. And like I said, the fact that I love the thing I love that we're never really dug into in all our conversations we've never really dug into that dichotomy of you do need to, number one, be excellent at what you do. We agree on that.
Yes,
You
100%.
have to attract people who don't necessarily know what you stand for before they even like will accept your fashion. They have to like with your stuff and then say, oh, it's also about this. So you have all these layers, right?
Hmm.
And I think what I'm getting, honestly, that I had never really appreciated before, is how much internal work you have to do. Number one, fighting with this stuff for the 20 seconds, staying in it with all the craziness that happens in that world, which again is just a whole nother crazy ball of wax that I've never had to understand. Right now, I understand it a little bit why you guys are the way you are, because it's like when I'm looking at you at a fitting
Sure.
room, I'm like, how do you even have the brain to keep seeing things and doing this and tweaking this and that? Like, it's like,
It's the same
it's
thing you do. It's the same thing you do when
it,
you practice certain things, and then all of a sudden you're in the midst of worshiping, you're in the midst of a show, and you hear this chord all
yes,
of a sudden, and so you just
yes.
jam and just hit it. It's the
And I,
exact same thing.
yes, yeah, and until yes, you're exactly right. That's why I'm thinking it's so interesting that in a whole different place, in a whole different sphere, in a different artistic atmosphere, it's the same condition, which is you see what other people don't, you see what other people don't see,
You don't, yeah.
right? And then in terms of like we're going back to what you were just about to share about, now that you do see it, now you're making it real. You've got to be able to stick with it long enough to let people get the message, even when you think is like, wait a minute, like I'm really being rejected here, or I'm really not making an impact here, or this is causing a really awkward situation here, and I'm still been called to it, even though it isn't apparent that I'm in the right place.
The one thing you said right there that I think is huge for a lot of people. I'm not really making an impact. It's
Mm,
one thing. It's one thing to fail. It's one thing to have doors shut in your face. It's one thing to do something and it not go the way you're supposed to. It's another thing when, you've been plowing away and doing something and you just don't see the impact.
yeah.
You don't see where you're making a difference. You don't see, it's like, and you start to question yourself. And it's just like, okay, God, did I have one of those moments where, I thought it was you, but it was really me and I shouldn't really be doing this? And then, how do I prioritize? For me, being a husband, and I didn't get this at first, but how do you chase a dream and be a husband? How do I've chased something and neglected my wife, and that ain't it. That ain't it. So, it's like, okay, well, if I don't make this a priority, I'm not going to make an impact. Um, but do I want to, lose my wife and my family because of it? Well, no, I
Mm,
don't. And then you just get reminded, put God first. Seek first the kingdom of heaven, his righteousness, all these other things will come after. So after you put God first and just say, you know what, God, I'm just gonna go to work. I'm gonna go to work, and you told me if a man doesn't work, he doesn't eat, and then that a man that doesn't take care of his family is less than an infidel. So I'm going to do those primary things, those primary functions, the things that you've designed a man to do. I'm gonna go to work. I'm gonna take care of my wife. I'm gonna make sure that she's good to go. And if you really want this from me, I'm not going to take away from my family in order to get it.
ooh.
So, yeah, no, and that hurts.
Yeah, but man, look, I literally just finished reading some of these Facebook posts from my fellow musicians, and this is going to sound very harsh, but I'm going to say it on this podcast because it's true, and I want to make sure that people understand me, because I started this whole ministry based on musicians, right?
Mm.
But I'm finding more and more that I can't really have this kind of conversation with my fellow musicians because they're chasing the dream more than they are understanding the character that they have to have before the dream will even be realized, or that God would even call them to it when they would forsake their first, like you said, I love what the word you use, that your first priority, right?
Yeah, first
Your first
priorities.
principles, the things that you have to be connected to first is the way the book starts. My book, stay connected to God, stay connected to family, stay connected to church. If you don't stay connected to those things and then you're chasing this dream of artistic merit, artistic validation, whatever you call it, is gaining the whole world or losing your soul, right?
Yeah.
And again, I'm being really picky with the musicians only because I thought I was called to that particular segment of artists. Meanwhile, I'm seeing people over and over arguing over, well, if you have to go get a real job, you're not really a musician because real musicians are willing to follow their passion and work at church all the time. And this is really, and it's like, what are you talking about? What you
No.
just said. If you don't take care of your family, like, this is not an argument we need to be having. Do what it takes to take care of your family, and all of these things will be added unto you. Seek first the
Yeah.
kingdom of God. And by the way, the kingdom that we always go here. I hate you for this right now because I didn't realize I was going there. I was like, oh my gosh, I just went there. This always happens, y'all, when we're like talking. But yeah, like, seek the kingdom of God. The kingdom starts in your home. So if you're seeking the kingdom starts in your home.
Hmm.
If you're not
Yeah.
seeking the kingdom in your home, you can't seek the kingdom anywhere else. There's no kingdom
So
outside of your home, and you're trying to find it. So being able to establish that, and then, like, I'm gonna let you continue because I know I just went like soapbox
it's
on you.
good. It's good. I'm loving it. But so to that end, just recently, um, and I got them back behind there. That was the latest collection that I did, and I released it during Father's Day. Shameless plug. It is very shameless.
There's not
Um,
there's no shame in plugging here.
no shame in plugging. Got you.
There's
I'm gonna
no
take that.
shame
I'm
in
gonna take
plugging.
that. Um, as long as I have been doing this, which is now, I think I wrote this down in 2004. So I've been on this journey for 22 years. This last quarter was the first quarter I ever made money. And when I say ever made money, I mean for the times that I have done stuff and I have sold stuff, I literally made more money in this last uh 6.5 months than I have the entire time that I've been doing this. Um, so I got to release a 7 or 8 piece collection during the winter, and I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. I'm like, bet, it's time. Let's go. Let's do this. I'm seeing success. It's driving. I go to this event. It's 3 days. I'm like selling stuff. I'm doing specialty items. There's this piece that I sent to this to a pastor. Pastor Marcus McGee. He's in Truth Valley Church in Arizona. He wore it and he absolutely loves it. I sent it to him. He wore it. I'm at this event. They're like, hey, can you make that? I'm going back home during this event and I'm making this stuff. And
Yeah,
it's my top tier price stuff too. I'm sitting there like, man, they're not buying any of the cheap stuff. This is it. This is what the Lord has called for in this last and evil day. We hitting it. We getting it. Time to plan for the next thing. 2 pieces. And technically it's not even 2 piece collection. It's 1 piece with one color variation. That's designer terms. It's a two.
yeah.
That's
I
not
just
a
went
2 piece
over my
collection.
head. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. That's not a 2 piece collection. That's just a 1 piece collection. It's just got
Okay.
two variants. Just got two variants to it. So I have it's a collection. I just wanted to celebrate Pentecost, and again the message. I love it. It says it's an old school Baptist message. Says I know it was the blood, and
Mm,
so I have it in 2 colors, and fashion designers never say things like black or gray. So you're never going to hear those things. Nobody makes a shirt in yellow. Okay.
really?
Yeah. So if you actually go into a catalog and look at colors, they pick words that have feeling. So it won't just be red, it'll be hot rod red.
Got it. Got it. Interesting. Okay, so
So
see,
so
that's a
behind me we
yeah.
have what would be called black. It's Gethsemane night and Good Friday day.
Come on, marketing.
Yeah.
All right. See, you know what? This is a total aside, but literally, we were talking in a restaurant about who writes the menus,
Yeah.
and like we were like, someone has to make this water sound like the most incredible water. So
Incredible water you've
the
ever had
the,
in your
the
life.
Fiji bubbling spring with a hint of lime, and I'm like, it's
Exactly.
tap water with a lime in it.
From the mountains of Madagascar. Like, oh,
Exactly, dude. But I love. Okay, so we could do this all night. So I got to make sure I don't like just let this continue one of our conversations, which we will continue later. Again, in
yes.
the membership because he is a member of the Garden Gigs 360 membership app. So anything we don't get to inside of this podcast, you can find them in the app. And we're going to be doing some more stuff later on as we partner together. So I want to make sure that we leave some room for them, right, to learn more
Yes.
about you so that they don't get all of the first time. They got to come back and find out more about your brand and about what you do. But this is important because I always want to make sure we never leave. You just hit the nail on the head when you talked about how you had to come back to what's important while holding on to your dream. And then you see in the last season that God is giving a harvest
Hmm.
over 20 years after you started it. So the last question is also the most important question is, what would you say to yourself back there in Okinawa when you first stepped into that shop and did not have your size and did not have anything that represented you? What would you say to yourself? Because someone else is where you were.
Wow.
So, yes, my friend, this is the proverbial what would you tell yourself if you knew what you know now?
Oh, wow. That is,
I love it when I stump him because this is a man of
yeah.
many words. This is, but I know what's going to
That
come
is
is going to be
crazy
good.
to be able to find this kid who's in this store. No one's helping him, and he can't find anything that he likes, and just be able to tell him, you know, what you feel right now is going to lead to you creating something. What you feel right now is going to help you give God glory.
Come on.
So, and I can't give him too much more than that because he needs to go through what he's going through, and he needs to stumble. He needs to mature. Um, because everybody would want to, jump back and tell, your past self, do this, and don't do this. But, we had that conversation. God doesn't give a Ferrari to a 5-year old. And as I'm about to enter into this place where me and my beautiful wife, smoking hot wife, the sweet and salty caramel crunch, we're about to sit down into this Ferrari. Um, I don't want to take away from him the struggle. I don't want to take away from him. If I take away, if I warn him, it's like, hey, listen, you don't want to use that seamstress. You want to probably go to somebody who, has a, established brand and established business and everything else. Okay, it may go easier, but he didn't get none of the grind. He doesn't feel any of the pressure. He isn't. Nothing is going to help him become a diamond in that because it went too easy. It just went too easy. I mean, if I tell him, y- go on the internet and see if somebody can make this jacket for you and send it overseas and you can go get it. I never meet Loxley,
Ah,
and I
yep.
never have 5 years with this incredible man, and I never get a chance to keep a craft alive that is essentially dying. So I can't give him too much. I can just encourage him and tell him, I know what you're feeling, and what you're feeling right now is going to cause you to make something to give God glory.
Micah Lee with the mic drop. Come on, man. Mike, like, come on. Like, dude, there is so much wisdom and maturity. I'm not going to try to cheapen it. The Holy Spirit's going to say what he's going to say through those words to the person that needed to hear it, right? So that's all we have to trust, that that is getting to the right people. But as I mentioned, we do want this to be a continual conversation, not
Yes.
just a one-time conversation. So you know the drill. I know people have the show notes. They can click on it. They probably already clicked on it. They're already following you. They're already ordering stuff. But for the old school person that has pen and paper, okay, tell them where they can find you. Tell them the different places where you are showing up with your art and with your message, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. I love to, because connecting with people is how we're really going to build. It's not going to be through me buying ads or anything else. It's just going to be with us talking to
Yeah.
one person at a time and getting there. So if you would like to follow me, and I please ask that you do, because I've stopped with the purchasing of ads or anything else. I would much rather I connect with you personally. And if you wouldn't mind doing it, following me and putting a notification bell on so you know every time I post something, you can find or search Micah Lee Fashion on YouTube and on Instagram. I also own a brand, the streetwear brand Emperiol. We're telling the story of Christianity through art and fashion. Underground fashion house that's trying to engage people through the gospel of Jesus Christ, pushing a message that is not conforming, and also has an inclusive size range as well. I want everybody to be able to put on something. It's really hard out here in the fashion streets when everything just only goes up to 2x. So on most of our designs, I try to go up to 4. So you can just Google. I love being able to do that. You can Google Emperiol, Emperiol, Emperiol. And you can go to Emperiol.com. That's our actual website. Emperiol on is also on TikTok, and it's on Instagram, and I'm posting videos. I am going to do better about posting content.
Yeah, that's
I'm
what the membership is for. That's where we're
That's
going to
what the
help you,
membership
man.
is for. So I'm gonna do much better on that. I'm gonna be following a lot of the programs that you have set up that are going to teach us and encourage us to be better at content and helping people solve problems. Fix Your Fit is something that's coming up. I would very much like Alan to be on one of those episodes, but I just want to help guys who are unsure of what to put on and what to wear. I just want to encourage you and show you so you can walk into any store and see what's going to work for you. And you'll be able to decipher, no matter if you walk into a Macy's, a Bloomingdale's, you can walk into a Nordstrom, you can walk into a K&G or a Men's Warehouse. You're going to be able to find something that works for you, because I've taught you who you are and what's going to go well. So Fix Your Fit is definitely upcoming. And, we're definitely going to get yours truly on there so that he can stop wearing black all the
Oh
time.
my gosh. All right. So the next time you see us together and I am put together, all right,
Yes,
you will know it was because of this episode. You'll be able to
absolutely.
trace it back to, like, that was the day that Alan
That was
finally
the
got
day it
his stuff.
happened.
This is where the room where it happened. The room where it happened. Oh
The
my gosh.
room.
So, bro, this has been a blessing, man. I already knew it was, but this is absolutely beyond what I thought. The half has not been told. For you, for your amazing wife, my sister, our friends, we're just family. And now you're part of God Engaged family as well. You always were, but now even more so.
Absolutely.
So thank you, man, for being a part of, officially now, a guest of the God and Gig Show.
Thank you so much for having me, Alan. This was a blast, man. God bless you.
My friend, thank you for watching this episode. If that blessed you, you got to make sure that you stay connected with this community and this channel so that you can get more where that came from. We're sharing great interviews, tactics, strategies, mindsets, lifestyle choices, everything that's going to help you become a totally confident creative. And don't miss an episode of the God and Gig Show. If you are staying connected to our channel, you'll be able to find us anytime we release new episodes. And you can check out some of our archives of almost 200 episodes now that we've shared over the last few years. Make sure you check out one of the suggestions right now, because it's probably perfect for you to continue to develop as a creative. And continue to stay connected with us, because we're here to help you become the creative that God created you to be. We'll see you in the next episode.